is our Dharma? What is our quest? Hey everyone, this is Matt, the host of Dharma Nights. I have a special podcast episode today. My partner, Erin, has her own very well-established podcast called Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching Podcast, and she does all kinds of really wonderful yoga and coaching-based content, and we did a special episode where we had a recorded coaching session where I gave her sort of coaching according to the guidelines of her life coach certification school process. And it was really interesting sort of interview looked at from that perspective. And we put the first part of this coaching interview on her podcast and the second part on mine. So for my listeners, you're about to get dropped into the second half of this coaching session. And if you want to hear the first half, you should go to her podcast, Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching Podcast. It's on Spotify and iTunes, of course. So hope you enjoy it. It's an interesting discussion. And yeah, thanks for listening. So when there hasn't been any voice, like whether it's this kind of a guided exercise or something else, like when there hasn't been that external voice to say, so what, so does everybody else? Or when you haven't even provided your own internal voice to say that, what actions do you end up taking when you just have all those like hooked, stuck feelings, right?
I mean, depends on the severity. When it's really bad, like it was the past 3 days.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, I feel insane.
What actions do you take?
I mean, I try to channel it. I tried to go skating. I went skating at Spot for 3 hours on Tuesday night just to fucking try to get it out. And I felt like I managed it and navigated, didn't really make it that much better, but survived, I guess.
What are some actions that you take that you're not happy with?
Oh, well, eating a bunch of food, hitting the pen. I don't drink anymore, but I certainly thought about it. Get real clingy and needy for you.
I'd like to bookmark that one if I wasn't your partner and say why is needing bad. But before I do, let's just put a little pin in that.
Okay.
What other actions do you take that you regret?
I mean, I just feel frozen and stuck.
So inaction.
Yeah, I'm just caught up in the loops of my mind. I'm just pacing. I'm not doing the things I want to do. I'm laying around on my phone, just finding different ways to distract myself and I feel I don't have a grip on reality or how to save myself.
So what results come from that?
I mean, I feel fucking awful. It sucks. I just want I pray and I just say fucking save me, please, Krishna Atman, Om universe, please come, help me, give me some solace, grant me some peace, please fucking help me, brings me to my knees. And
okay. So earlier you mentioned that some of the thoughts that you get from the circumstance or the set of circumstances that you mentioned, right? All the sum total of I have a lot going on, right? almost like take your pick, any one of those circumstances you mentioned, family stuff, house stuff, right, all of it. And the thought you have is, there's a lot going on, I should be stronger. And the emotion that came up for that for you, before we imagined someone saying, so what? The emotions that you mentioned were all like pretty dark. Right? But if you had to pick one word for those emotions, like before anyone comes in and says, so what? So does everybody else. What would like the number one top 10 worst emotion you feel be? When you have all that stuff going on and you feel like you should be doing more and you feel like you should be stronger. And you think you should be stronger.
Like stuck, overwhelmed.
Where do you feel that stuck, overwhelmed feeling?
Now around my heart.
Around your heart. So earlier when you talked about your solar plexus,
excuse me,
is there a difference in specificity? Like your heart versus more generally in your solar plexus?
Like my solar plexus, I'm used to that feeling. Like that's like my tension spot. Like I always have to like keep an eye on that. My heart is different though. I don't usually experience a lot of like clenching and like stuckness around my heart. It's usually pretty open.
Okay.
And I feel like, I guess with like underneath that, I feel like all this fear.
Okay.
Like, which is, I don't know, I'm not usually so fearful.
So fear and clenching.
Yeah.
Around your heart. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you take one quick round of Ujjayi and think about that fear and clenching around your heart? Just tap into it for a second. Have you tapped into that feeling?
Yeah, it's like, you know, when I like fully exhale and retain the exhale, whatever, like hold the exhale, I can like, it's like so stuck. There's like pain in my heart.
Okay. So when we talked about that chorus of different people, the stranger, the parallel universe you, the cat fetzer, the sensei, when one of them said, so what? So does everybody else. And you said that you had those feelings of like good feelings in your solar plexus of expansion and contraction. And you described them as good feelings, right? Which one of those four people provoked those feelings the most?
The good feelings?
Yeah. The stranger, the parallel universe you, the cat fetzer, the sensei.
I don't know, my dad's coming up.
Your dad, okay. So when you imagine, when you're in the middle of all those stuck, fearful feelings in your heart, and you hear your dad say, so what? So does everybody else. That's when you feel those strongest good
feel
feelings.
Not good enough.
You feel not good enough. Okay. Let's go back to those other four. Let's exclude your dad. Because right now we're talking about which one of those four makes you feel the best when you hear that. Like in your solar plexus. Not which one makes you feel like you're not good enough.
Well, I feel like the pain is related to my dad thinking I'm not good enough, or me perceiving that my dad thinks I'm not good enough.
Okay. So I think that's something we could dive deeper into. And I would like to do that in another session. But since we know that the bad feeling is tied into a feeling of not being good enough, right? And we know that that's related to like not feeling strong enough, feeling like you should be doing more, feeling like, so what? So does everybody else. Right? Let's reserve going into that feeling with your dad for another session. But right now, let's go into those bad feelings of not being good enough and no one bailing you out, no one reminding you, so what? But now let's imagine one of those four people, whichever one gave you the best feelings out of those four, not which ones made you feel worse or made you feel not good enough, which one of those four made you feel the best. When they said, so what? So does everybody else. Which one of those would it be?
I guess my sensei.
Okay. So let's go back into those bad feelings when you feel that you're getting clenched up in your heart and fearful. And I want you to do a little avatar imagination where you start to feel those feelings, and then you feel the Obi-Wan Kenobi version of your sensei, like in a blue nimbus of light coming up behind you and saying, so what, Red? So does everybody else. And he starts talking about how just yesterday he flatlined. How does that make you feel?
That he believes in me, and so that makes me feel like he can see my light beyond these excuses, and it's like he's the guru, he's the remover of darkness, because he can just see that in me.
How does your heart feel when you think of that?
I miss him.
Miss him. What are the sensations in your heart?
I miss him. Longing, missing. Like, I've never met anybody else quite like him. He was so fucking phenomenal of a person. And he saw my light. No matter what was happening or going on. And I miss him so much. He was always there for me, and he never gave up on me. And I pushed him away, and he would always call me and find me. And he helped me to finish what I started, so I got my black belt.
So if you were to look at those two feelings, the clenchy heart fear feeling on one hand, let's even say that's on your right hand. Like you can feel that feeling traveling from your heart to your right hand. And then on the other hand, you have that feeling of missing your sensei on your left hand. Which hand feels like it's more frozen, and which hand feels like it can kind of reach for a door to open? Like if you had to pick one of those hands.
Wait, can you repeat that?
So you have two feelings.
The left hand is missing my sensei, right?
Yeah.
And then what is the right hand?
The right hand is taking all the clenchy fear feelings in your heart. That's where they live right now. But your left hand is the feelings of missing your sensei. So your torso and your heart are emanating these feelings at opposite ends of your body. Right hand is the clenchy fear, left hand is missing your sensei. Which one feels like it can open a door?
What?
The left? Is that what you said?
I feel like his voice is inside of me, but like I haven't been able to hear it. And I want want to hear it again. And like, I worked so hard with him, like, for fucking so many years. Like, just, I was so, like, dedicated to him. And, like, I haven't felt that way about, like, I don't know, in that same way. Like, how do I say this? Like, he imprinted in me. I know he did. Like, he's in there, and I feel like I let him die or something inside of me. And I feel like it's something precious that I want to pull out again. Like, I feel like, remember when you said you'd been living in your excuses?
Yeah.
I feel like in certain ways I've been living in mine. And I feel like my sensei was so valuable because he didn't, like, you could tell him an excuse and he was like, so what? Get your ass down here. Like, anything.
Do you remember what his voice sounded like when he said that? Can you remember the sound of his voice?
Hold on. It's been a while since I've heard his voice. Kinda, yeah. It was like raspy and...
Can you remember what his face looked like when he said those things?
Yeah, I remember his face very well. Like as far as avatars, like the avatar of my sensei, like I think I need him right now.
I agree. So I want you to, since you're having a harder time remembering his quote unquote voice, but you're having a much easier time remembering his face, I want you to visualize the Obi-Wan Kenobi ghost version of your sensei who happens to have wandered in the room over your shoulder right as you said, God, I got a lot going on. And you could hear the fear in your voice, and you could hear the way your voice sounds when you're trembly, when you have that heart feeling of clenched fear, right? And this Obi-Wan Kenobi ghost version of your sensei, you can't hear him very well, because that's just the way this ghost logic works, right? But you can see his face very clearly, and you can see his lips moving. And what are his lips saying? Like you can read his lips. What are they saying?
Put back on your gear and go in and fight.
How does your heart feel now when you can tell from your lip reading that that's what your sensei is saying?
I know he's right. I know he's right and that I can. And that I'm stronger than my excuses.
How does that feel in your torso?
Fucking good. It's like I'm remembering who I am. I'm remembering why I'm in the place I am in my life. It's not just fucking luck. It's not just like, somebody paid my way or I fucking created everything in my life and I worked fucking hard for it. I didn't have handouts. I fucking created everything. I mean, I've hired help and I've delegated and things like that, but like the vision, everything is in mine. Like fucking, I made all this happen. And I feel like I've like forgotten, like, and maybe that's where my confidence has been like shit lately. It's like I've forgotten all the fucking work I put in, like, and I did it pretty damn ethically. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't perfect, but like, I've been really pretty ethical. And I'm really proud of that. Like, I didn't sneak around or like I did things like mostly mindfully. And again, probably not perfectly, but like, it's like I put in the fucking work. I'm a hard worker. And besides that, not just like on the outside a hard worker, but like spiritually, I've worked hard on myself. And like he he always saw that. He's like, so what? Your fucking excuses, whatever, they're excuses. And like to have a figure like that, and in its way, it was very like Kali in its compassion, because like he would just like evaporate my excuses, and he'd like just destroy these projections of like, woe is me. Because like when it comes down to it, like life is like 75 hard. Like life is not fucking fair a lot of times, and you're gonna be thrown through a loop. And like I fucking protect my health so much, and here I am I just realized how fucking swollen my lymph node is on the left side. Like another indicator of heavy metals toxicity. My body's processing a lot. Like here I am with heavy metal poisoning, but I can still move forward, and I can shift things. Like, you know, I'm going to start doing sauna and whatnot, but like, it can't stop me. I'm powerful. And in the almost 8 years that I've owned Thrive and like became like kind of a self-made woman, like I have faced a lot of shit, including this past 2 years of fucking dealing with COVID and owning 2 studios and like not just keeping things afloat, but like doing pretty damn good.
Yeah, I agree. So we started this session by going through a huge list of things that you should have been able to handle. And we're near the end of this session now, and you just gave me a laundry list of all the things you handled well. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the world champion weightlifter, after they've done their max reps and they can't do another rep, are they weak or are they strong?
I mean, essentially they're stronger.
Yeah. In that moment,
They might feel weak.
They might feel weak, or they might have hit their temporary weakness point, but they are the world's strongest athlete in that way.
Yeah, my sensei certainly made champions.
Yes. And are you or are you not one of the students that your sensei made?
Yes.
And did your sensei make strong students?
He definitely did.
And did he make you a strong student?
Yes.
Okay. So I do have some homework before I get you dropped in and dropped back out, right? We like to do a warm-up and we like to do a cool-down for these sessions, but you can enlist someone's help to do this. You can do it yourself if you have the means, but I want you to get an old photo of your sensei.
I have one on the fridge. I might be able to find another one or two. I used to have this really awesome one before, but anyways, yeah.
And I want you to either in a meme style where it's text over his picture, or like in a comic book style where it's a speech bubble, whatever you relate to more.
Okay.
Of him saying whatever his most common rebuttal was when you would give him an excuse, when he would just Kali blast right through it. And I think earlier you said something like, I don't care, put on your gi, get out there and fight.
Oh, put on your gloves.
Put on your gloves.
Yeah.
So.
And he has a bunch. Winners never quit, quitters never win. Yeah, get your ass out there. So what? Get your ass down here to the dojo, put on your gloves and go fight.
So we all know that yesterday you had a strong experience with our coach where she basically said like, hey, you're human. You get to have moments like this. And you learned yesterday that you get to accept moments like that. And that's half the equation, right?
Yeah.
And then the second half of the equation is your sensei saying, get your gloves back on. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's make that little graphic, and I want you to put it on your bathroom mirror. And I want you to have a little conversation with your sensei every day for the next week, where you tell him one of your problems that you got going on. And then you look at that photo and you read it in his voice. Sensei, I got this problem in my studio right now. Sensei, I got this problem with my dipshit brother. Sensei, I got this problem with my sister and my niece.
Like, so what? So does everybody. Like, so does everybody else. Put your gloves back on and fight.
Yeah, whatever statement you relate to best. It could even be, so what? Put your gloves on. whatever is strongest and easiest for you to look at the picture of him and to say the words as if he's saying it to you, right?
Yeah, it's like, so what? Everybody's got problems. Put your gloves on and fight.
Yeah. So every day for the next week, do you accept this homework?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you can help me make a graphic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And how do you think you'll feel when you do that exercise?
Motivated, like how I felt when I thought about it.
And what kind of actions do you think that'll produce as opposed to the actions of feeling stuck?
Being a boss babe.
Being a boss babe. Good. And what kind of results do you think that'll give you?
The results that I'm proud of.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So remember that Ujjayi?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like you to do 6 more sets of that Ujjayi. Close your eyes and breathe deep. And let me know when you're done.
Okay.
Would you like to together?
Sure.
Take a deep breath in. Enlighten me, season honors the light in you. So what? Everyone's got problems. Put on your gloves and fight. Namaste.
Namaste.